Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's class. We're doing Make Your Own Google Site tonight with Carol Ann Ketch. She is our technology trainer here with us through Guiding Ohio Online, which is a grant. My name is Missy Littell, and I'm the Customer Experience Manager at the Cuyahoga Falls Library, and I'll be monitoring the chat and passing along any questions you have to her. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Carol Ann.
All right, thanks everyone. So for those of you that are here for class, you're going to want to use a Google account or a Gmail account to be able to get to these features for free. You don't have to have a special business account or anything. It can just be a regular old Gmail. It's also good to have room in your Google Drive, and I'll show you kind of where that is. As a precursor for the class, I am going to be going over the basics of like where the different parts are, how to insert elements into your website, and kind of how the pages work. This covers more of the aesthetics and visuals of a typical website. If you're going for more e-commerce, I am going to be including a video on how you can link other e-commerce resources for like shopping carts, or where you can create a direct link to your commerce site. So that is also an option. So I will be giving you all that information. I'll send out links for some other specific e-commerce resources after the class. So without further ado, I will go ahead and share. All right, so what we have here is our typical Gmail. I've already logged into my account here, and it's just a regular old Gmail account. And I'm just on google.com. So this is your typical Google search. I tend to use that to get into my Google Drive as just kind of an easy place to get to it. But any Google related site, you'll see these 9 dots up near your little personal icon. So I click on those 9 dots and I go to my drive. You could also go to sites.google.com, I believe, but I like to organize everything into folders. So I use my Google Drive. So once you're in Google Drive, it's kind of like your documents in your computer where you have areas to have folders and things, and you have the amount of space in your Gmail account. So I'm going to go to my folder that I created for this class. And now that I'm in this folder, and anything with like websites or multimedia, I always encourage using folders. Keep everything together, collect any pictures you're going to use for any of your, like, especially if you're going to do an e-commerce site. I put all of those things together in a folder for that website. Sometimes you have to change image sizes and things like that. So to start my brand new site, I'm going to go up here to the left and click on the multicolored plus that says new. And then I'm going to go down here at the bottom of that list under more. You see here is Google Sites. So I'm going to click on that, and that is going to open up my fresh little site. So right out of the gate, we have our simple page. It sort of already leads you to your title. I'm going to call this class demo. And it uses that title up here on the left to title your website here. You can insert logos and things like that. You can give your title here a different name. Okay, so if you've used any of the Google products like Google Docs, Google Drawings, Google Slides, all of these tools are pretty much the same thing. It's just creating a website instead. So you'll have all of your information for doing alignment and your type of text, your basic fonts, all those kind of basic things. Some of them, there's not some parts, but anything that you would typically see in like a Google Doc for tools, you will see that. So up here, we'll kind of start with this top bar. You've got your undo last action, and you have your redo. So if you make a mistake, you can undo it. Control Z also works. And then the next one is preview, which is really neat. As you're working, if you're kind of seen some other websites, this one is a preview for a computer. And then there's previews for tablets as well as cell phones. So if you're really looking at reaching people through their cell phone, making sure your website looks good on a cell phone is an awesome way to preview. So that's what our preview button does. And then you can exit out of your preview here. So we'll kind of show that a little later on. The next button here is your link. So once you have a published site, then you can click on this little link icon, and that'll give you the link to your site or the page that you're on. You can also share your site with other people. So you can create restrictions and choose someone to help edit the site or manage the site. So if you're partnering with another content creator, then you can have them working with you on that project. And you can even be working on it at the same time. So that's our little share. And then settings, we're not going to really do much with that. You can do things like Google Analytics and other branding and like favicons and things like that. So there's some fun stuff you can do there. But that's a little deeper than what we were going to do today. There's also our version history. You can duplicate the site. I often do this for our Makerspace classes. I create resource pages for some of the different classes with how-to videos or links to different resources here at the library. So I will use the same kind of framework for a website, especially if some of the content is similar, and then kind of go from there and publish a new site from one that I've duplicated. You can also report other problems in terms of service and take a tour. So if you are wanting to learn a little more in depth, you can take the tour there. You also have your publish button. Once you have everything set up, you can give your website a name, and it's going to start with sites.google.com and then whatever you end up calling it. And you can also use a custom domain. That means if you're purchasing a special website name, you can manage that in this space as well. You can also request that this not be put into a search engine results. So maybe this is just for family and you just want to send this information to a family member so that they can view it, but you don't want kind of everyone in the world to see it. But you can also manage who can see your site and specifically who you're sharing with. You can change with just the link. You can publish to the public and different things like that. So I'm going to cancel out of that because we don't really have anything to publish yet. So this is all of your kind of top bar, very beginning. Do we have any questions at this point?
Not so far.
Awesome. Okay. The next part is, now that we have kind of our basic site, it needs some content on it. And maybe you also need some other pages. So inserting, it gives you some previews for things and all kinds of different options of things that you can add to your site. Before I do that, I want to make some pages. So pages are the different sections of your website. So typically you have your home page, and to add a new page, you have this page here. And I'm going to say, maybe we need an about page. kind of let us know who this is for. And if you're doing something like my work. And the other neat thing is each of these pages, you can click on these 3 dots here on the side, and that helps you to create subpages. Or you can duplicate a page, find different properties, make it a home page, but I'm going to make a subpage. So my work, current, and then maybe I will do another subpage under there and do old work. So it kind of fills in the basic site here. And you can see up here, you've got this navigation. So we've got the home page, I've got my about page, and then there's my work. And that work has those 2 subpages there. So you can see that drop down. You can also change your navigation to be on the side. Like if you like the kind of clean menu on the side that comes across, that's where you change that, is in that settings. I kind of like the one at the top because I like being able to see it, but it's all a personal preference. You can also change your themes. And the different themes, you can change the color of them. There's the different text that's associated with it. And you can kind of see how that will change across all of your pages. It keeps it nice and orderly with each of those options. I do like this vision one. I tend to use it a lot for my classes, but it also kind of gives you the different style of fonts to work with that as well. So now that I have this kind of image, and I also have some pages. The other neat thing is that you can actually move the order. So if you want the order of your navigation to change, you can kind of click and drag those in that list. So top to bottom, it's going to be your left, right up here. So if you want to move things around, getting used to kind of those different things, playing with the different themes, playing with the different pages. Now that I have some pages, maybe I want a different image, and they make it really simple and easy. It's really previewing the stuff as you're going along, and you can upload or you can select an image. And a lot of times I will just use a search. They have some kind of basic generic images, but a lot of times I will use a search. So let's look for, let's see, like tools. I work here in the maker space. I'm gonna have some kind of fun tools in the background. And you can see here, it's adjusting the vibrancy, and it kind of helps with the readability. So if you have a really dark image and dark text, it'll kind of adjust the value for you automatically, which is also really, really handy. You can also change your header type. So if you want a full cover or a large banner, typical, or title only. So if you want something kind of really clean and austere, that is an option. And you can change those so that they're different on each of your pages as well. So they don't all have to be the same. But that theme will kind of come across. however you want it to work. And we have each of those. You can navigate with your navigation up here at the top like I've been doing, which is really neat. It kind of previews how your site's going to work for you. Or you can also use your pages section to work on those different pages. Okay. So now that I have that, I'm going to, maybe I want to highlight, let's see, we'll make a blog page. This is a really great format for creating blogs and things like that. You can add posts. So we will do a little blog page, and you can double click in this empty space and it brings up this little tool wheel. And this is your embed. You can put images, you can upload things to your account, or you can go directly from your Google Drive. You can also add text. So I'll show you what text does. It just makes this little text box and it gives you these options to kind of resize things. And again, move how you like. So it's a really nice, simple, free form way of creating. So here I'm just going to put a little section title. So once you have maybe a couple images, if you have multiple things, a lot of times I'll use these little insert templates where it gives you an image and then some text. This is kind of 4 little blocks, and it gives you the little boxes automatically, which I find really handy. Instead of trying to resize everything and inserting it individually, I'll use these little kind of, excuse me, layouts and then put those in there. So let's see. My project today. So maybe I want to show the work that I've been working on today, and I'll do maybe tomorrow or the next day or yesterday, or put in specific dates. But simple title, and then this plus gives you the option to put in YouTube videos, calendars, maps. You can also, a lot of times I'll select an image, again, from a search. If you have pictures of your products or your own work, that is also an option. So let's see. Maybe I'm just gonna show the different things that are relating to what I'm doing. We do a lot of 3D printing. And the neat thing with this is you can resize things. It'll actually kind of automatically resize here. If you double click on your image, it also gives you these different cropping features. So you can choose where you're focusing on that image. So it's really handy. You can zoom in and out with this guy. And I'm just clicking and dragging it around to have a different view on my little window here. And if you click off, it takes you out of that. And again, you can use your little bars here. One thing to note is that you see when I'm clicking and dragging, there's these lines that appear behind that image. There's a little narrow space and then a wide space. These are used with websites to kind of keep things in certain channels. So you'll see I can't really overlap them. And so you can link them in different ways. and move them separately. And if you're running into the habit, there's like these little dots in the bottom where you can put these elements on different sections. So you can really move it around, but within this kind of block, there's this little dotted line for this section. It kind of groups it for you. Before, with the old way of doing internet pages, you'd have to do a table and put everything into a grid to keep it together, but Google Sites just does it for you. You move it around just by clicking and dragging those little sets of tiny dots, and it gives you the little places to snap together. If you want to separate something, you can click on it until that frame is just around that part. And then you see this blue line that's appearing. That's giving me the idea of where this information is going to be kind of connected and moved to. And maybe I want my title on top of the image. So it's click and drag that up until I see that blue line on top of that image. And when you see it on that picture, that means that it's going to sort of magnet attach to that picture. So when I let that go, now that title and that picture move together. So it's really nice that they do a lot of these kind of finicky formatting things for you so that you don't have to worry about putting in the specific coding, and it's very visual with how they have you put it in there. So I have a few things on this page. Let's see what it will look like. So you can see, so this is our cell phone view, and it's putting those kind of empty squares. So if you're not going to use those, you can just delete them. And again, we can see it in the multiple views. And I love that it does the animation for the background image as well at the top. So there's a lot of really sweet professional touches that Google Sites just does for you. So they do a really good job of making it really simple and really easy to do. You can change around these different sections like I showed you before by clicking and dragging those sides. And again, we have to wait for that little blue line to show up. You can change other styling. So if you want your kind of a header footer situation, you can change your colors. You can put other images there. And it's neat, like you can see the text is black here, but if I change it to this darker one, it automatically changes it to white. It used to be that you would have your text disappear. You're like, why can't I see what I wrote? It's just so streamlined, so simple. You can also add other images and things. If you're doing multiple sections that are formatted very similarly, you can duplicate those sections, or you can delete sections. A lot of times I'll use these layouts over here on the right and then drag those elements up. Maybe I won't use all of them, but I just want to quickly use an image and a title, and then I can delete the rest. So those are kind of the basics of all the different ways of adding those different things that are kind of image and text. Let's show so we did text, images. The next one I'm going to do is Drive. And I'm going to go to my Google Site folder. And I put a file in here of some of the work I've done. Oop, I didn't want the folder. It will do the folder, which is really handy, especially if you're doing another another kind of resource page for sharing with people. Like if you're making a research site for a specific club or group, this is a really great resource for that. I want to open it, I have to double click it. And then I have to double click in here. And then I click on the file that I'm wanting to put up there and I can insert it. And it's really neat because it gives you this little preview so you can have it visible. So this is just a PDF document that I have in that folder of these templates we made for our 3D pens. So if I preview that, you can see that it shows that little folder or that little image of that file. And then people can download it and use it if they so choose. So that's inserting a file. You can do that, say you have your resume or maybe some literary work that you've done. You can put different text documents and things on there as well. Let's also do an embed. So embed, you can take a URL and embed. I a lot of times will use different YouTube videos for embedding. So let's do funny cat videos because that's what the internet's for.
Grandson and granddad.
We'll skip this. So I can just go up here and grab this URL. If you are skipped in and you want it to start on a specific section, you can right click on that video and say copy URL at this current time, and that will jump you right to that section. So if, say you're doing an informational site like I do for my classes, I can jump right to the section where I'm referencing the instructions in a video and copy the link from there. So I've got the link copied and then I just paste into here. So that gives me my little YouTube video that I can link into my site. And what's really neat is that you can set how big that video is. And you can have some information here on the side of, hey, cool cat. And give other explanations or things like that. So if you're a maker creator, you can put different posts for the things that you're wanting to sell to show people your process, or maybe you're sharing with your community on how to do certain things. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here's my little cell phone view, and you can see it actually plays directly on the site. So they don't have to have it jump to a separate web page. It can be really embedded in your site. So that's the big feature of embed. And again, you can change the different sizes and see what it will look like for those looking at your site. So that is our embed. And I don't use much with the collapsible group. If you have a really long site, you can do like a table of contents. If you have, let's see, I was on my blog page. I had those sections. If you give a title or a heading, then it will auto-generate a table of contents for you. So let's duplicate this a couple times. And I will insert a table of contents. You can see that it'll jump me when I'm in preview. It'll jump me to that section. Oh, it's not letting me. Oh, curse of the devil. But again, different things you can play with. I just wanted to kind of introduce you to the different tools, how they work, and things like that. So the two things that I picked up, and I'm going to be sharing the links for the other people explaining the e-commerce section. Some people will do a link. So instead of a web page, it will be a link to, say, your Etsy account or something like that. So you would put in the link to your Etsy account or your Etsy page. I think the other one is a like shopping cart one. So I will let those people that have kind of worked with that a little more. But if you're linking to a e-commerce site that you're using your Google site as more of your informational and kind of easy layout, that is one way to do that, is with the link there. All right, any other questions or things people want to see more of?
I don't see any questions yet in the chat.
Awesome. I'm trying to think if there's, so that's pretty much the different layouts and things.
Someone asked, is the e-commerce for when you're selling products?
Yeah, e-commerce is, let's see if I can pull that up. Oh, no, that's not going to work in that other page. It was like, and I did a simple search for selling on Google site. It's this, it's like this eWick, ECWick. And I want to say, yeah, it's this site. And they were creating like buttons to sell things on their website. It's a little funky because if they go out of the shopping cart section of the website, then it will, it doesn't save what's in the cart. I also found a comparison of a couple of different other options, because the other one was this, the Shopify was the other big product. So the big difference was that Shopify, you actually have to pay for an account, but the, where is it? The ECWid, that one actually is free with limited features and it works. So if this is something that you're just testing out to see if your business is kind of a proof of concept, no cost for your Google site, no cost for the this e-commerce facility site is definitely a great way to go. And you can have your, maybe you create a page for your store and you can tell it to open in a new tab. So I gotta do, you have the name of the page and then it would be whatever, we'll just use this for now because I don't have a store with them at all. So you've got your name that's going to appear in your navigation and then the link to your e-commerce store. And you have to kind of set up your account with them and work with that. And you can see it'll open up that e-commerce store. So that kind of gives you more full features, but that pulls you away from your site. There were people that created buttons and things, but those steps were a little more involved with getting things to link. Oh, that's the other part. So let's go here. You can use the images and text to link to other things. And the other thing that I like is that you can link to other pages. So maybe you're wanting to use your blog to highlight something in your portfolio of work. So you can right click on your image, click just your image and right click. Oh, no. Goodness, behave. Okay, so it's just clicking it to highlight it. It just had to be in that right section. And then you have this insert link. And automatically, one of the options, you can paste a link to whatever you want, a file, image, but automatically what comes up is options to go somewhere else in your site. So you can put links to parts of your site. So I can, and I like to link both of my text and the page, but you'll see here, I did not highlight the text. So when I apply this, it shoves it in the middle. So I'm gonna undo that. So if you end up with something weird like that, it's because it needs to be highlighted, and that text that you want to turn into a link, you can then insert that link, and that auto fills that text box. Otherwise, it'll kind of put the name of the page instead. And then you can apply that. So then you can see where it'll take me directly to those other things. Okay, so I've got a whole big wibbly wobbly fun little website. Oh, that was my other redirected store link. I'm gonna move that way down here. Okay, say this is beautiful and magnificent. You've worked hard to make everything look wonderful. And now you're ready to share it with the world. That is where we go up here to publish. So this is where I'm going to just call it a class demo. And if you have a space in the name, oh, it looks like somebody's already taken it. It'll let you know. It does force all of the parts to be lowercase because that's how websites work. And I'm going to do CFL just because of where we are. And it did accept that. It gave me my happy little check mark here. And then you can, like, again, gives you the option to put in your own domain. And right now, who can see my site? Anyone. If you are working within a business that is using like G Suite or Google Workplace, you can publish within your domain or just for the people in your company. So this is kind of where you would go for that. You can also change like who sees drafts, but right now it is public, but I could also restrict it so that only certain people could use that site. So I'm just going to have it out in the world and public until it's done. And it's going to be that sites.google.com/view class demo CFL. And I am not wanting people to look up this site. So if somebody's looking for a class demo for us, so I am going to check this so that it is not displaying in a public search. And I'm going to publish. If you are wanting the world to see and you want people to find you, definitely keep that unchecked. So you would want it in a search. For me and my purposes, not so much. So I'm going to publish what I have so far. And that's what I've got. Let's see. It gives you a little pop-up down here. Zoom it was hiding it for me where I could have viewed the site. Now this site link is active. So I can copy and it's going to the page that I'm on. If you change which page you're on, it will give you the link for that specific page. So make sure you know what page you're linking from. And you can always paste it into your browser and see your brand new fun website. Okay. So say you have had it up for a while, you're wanting to put in a new image, new post. Let's do a little insert here, and let's do one of our little images. We'll find and select another image. You always want to make sure you're not using copyrighted material. So use your own images if you can. But if you need something that's kind of a nice little placeholder, that is an option. So say you put in this new content. Right now, if I went to my site, I would not see, I'm on the blog page, I would not see that new picture. This is all that is on that page. So you can be working on your website while you have an older version posted, and it won't interrupt. People won't see you kind of editing things live. So you can work at your own pace. But once you have made the changes you want to make, maybe we want to just delete this little section. You can publish. And what's really neat, you can see the differences. So it'll show you what you have created and what it was before. So you can kind of compare and contrast, see if you like the changes or not. And then we can say publish. So now if I go to this site and I refresh that page, now that stuff appears there. So this is what the public would be seeing. So the live updates are really fast and simple and easy to do. And it looks like I've got an untitled page here. If you want to get rid of those, you can just delete it. So those 3 dots are handy to move things around. All right. And maybe you have stopped that business and you don't want to have it up anymore. You can click on this little drop-down arrow, or maybe you want to change whether it's viewable to the public or restricted. You can unpublish if you just want to take it down and you're done. You don't want that information out there anymore. So you can unpublish that site. So it'll be no longer live. So now if I go to this, it looks like it might have kind of an old cached view. Yeah, now I get the 404 error. So that site's no longer available to get to. So it's easy to put it up and easy to take it down. You can take your time as you're editing those small changes and to publish again. So hopefully that gives you a nice, simple way to create your pages, change your themes, adding images, adding text, and how to work within Google Sites. Thanks for coming, everyone.